Okay, everybody, what's going on? This is Vinny Maletti, the lead partner, founder, owner, everything here, Mac Daddy of Maletti Law. The date now is September 18, 2021. It is Saturday. This video will have to do with intellectual property, and I think I have to make this video because after spending like the last 5 hours doing this, I want to scream. So I figure rather than scream, let me talk about it to all of you and possibly give all of you some insight on how to counter a lot of these stupid things. So first and foremost, as you know, please go click on subscribe on that red button in the YouTube channel, which I hope to be blue at some point once I could brand it and I could make my own branding involved once I get 100 people. So come on and hurry up and subscribe. All right, and then also sign up to my newsletter because that's important, so as we could all stay in the know. Now I know for the past couple of weeks you've all been seeing nothing but like nurse-related stuff and unconstitutional and everything's evil around us. But every now and then I gotta do things that make money, and I gotta do things that are like my standard course of law. See, many of you don't know, I do a lot of intellectual property, a lot of branding. I do a lot of, obviously I do employment side work and, employment law, defense side, employer side, management side. I mean, you all know that, but I mean, like a lot of you don't know, I'm pretty badass when it comes to IP and marketing and branding. So whatever, so let's get down to it. So today's situation came up, right? So we have a brand, we have a client with a brand, and the brand came back, the USPTO office came back and said, hey, that brand is confusing. Your particular application is confusing to something else. Therefore, you get what's known as a likelihood of confusion refusal. This is known as a 2D refusal, if you ever see it, number 2D, likelihood of confusion. So these are pains in the butts. What happens here is some way, shape, or form, the claim examiner found a mark that they believe is similar. I need you to understand that this is completely arbitrary. There are some examiners that do not care. There are some examiners that are tremendously aggressive when it comes to finding confusing marks. There are some examiners that are actually rational. It's literally like, when you think about Forrest Gump, right? Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know which one you're going to get. Well, that's the USPTO. The USPTO is like a box of chocolates. You never know which one you're going to get. Some of those chocolates are grenades. In this particular instance, not technically a grenade, but had the examiner looked a little bit more than, 5 seconds, probably would have realized that they weren't similar. So look, let's go down to it. So real quickly, so what is it, right? So we're talking about the likelihood of confusion analysis, likelihood of confusion refusal. Oh, sorry. The title of this video will be Responding to a Likelihood of Confusion Determination. Responding to a Likelihood of Confusion Determination. It'll be up on, I'll actually put the header on the website, on the YouTube channel, so you know how to do it. All right, so let's get down to it. So background, like I said, how does this come across, right? So you got this great brand, you think it's really cool, you go ahead, you apply at the USPTO's office, and now you do what every other business owner does in the world. You have no patience, you don't wait, you go ahead and you make all your shirts and all your logos and all your labels and everything, just shoot on because you're totally optimistic, which you should be, because this is America and we want you to run business and you should be optimistic. Boom, comes back 6 months later because USPTO is very slow. Hey, by the way, that's confusing. That looks like somebody else's trademark. We found this trademark in Sri Lanka, and they make something that's not similar to yours, but we're going to say it's similar, and it's confusing, and there's going to be a lot of confusion in the planet because of your brand. That's generally, I imagine, what goes through their head, that kind of thought process. So so now we have to determine how to respond to them, right? So a lot of times you get this likelihood of confusion refusal. They like to basically stop at two elements that they look at, right? So the whole test for likelihood of confusion comes from a case known as DuPont, and it asks 13 questions. So the test is actually 13 questions. And this is the kind of analysis that you need on these 13 questions. This is the kind of analysis out there that you need, that the examiner is expected to do to make the determination whether something is confusing or not. They never do it. They like to cite to a sentence in that case that says something to the effect of like, well, although not all the DuPont factors are relevant, there are generally two key considerations of any likelihood of analysis, confusion of analysis: the similarities between the marks and the relatedness of compared goods and or services. So, they use that language to not look at any other factor except those two. So we address them. Okay, here's the whole test in its entirety. There's 13 factors, right? So there's 13 questions that examiners should be asking. 1, the similarity or dissimilarity of the marks in their entireties as to the appearance, sound, connotation, and commercial impression. 2, the similarity or dissimilarity of the nature of goods and services. 3, the similarity or dissimilarity of established likely to continue trade channels. 4, the conditions under which and the buys to whom sales are made. 5, the fame of the prior mark. 6, the number and or nature of similar marks or use in similar goods. 7, the nature and extent of any actual confusion. 8, the length of time during conditions under which there has been concurrent use without evidence or actual confusion. 9, the variety of goods of which a mark is or is not used, a house mark, a family mark, product mark, etc. 10, the market interface between the applicant and the owner of the prior mark. So, whether it's a mere consent to register a use, if the agreement provisions are designed to preclude confusion, etc. That's a little complicated. We're not going to get too deep into that for this little video. Number 11 is the extent to which the applicant has a right to exclude others from the use of its mark. 12, the extent of the potential confusion. And 13, the catch-all, any other established fact probative of the effective use. Okay, so I don't want to go into all those numbers, right? Because then this video would be 37,000 minutes long, and it's just not fair to anybody. So let's just go through kind of like real quickly what happens most of the time, because I've been doing this now for years. I've probably seen 100 marks and applications go past my way. I've had ones that were fantastic that they didn't even recognize, didn't even bother to look at. They immediately went right into, publication. I had other marks that were so stupid and so absurd when they decided that they were related. Perfect example is my wife. We had Dawn approved. So, Dawn puts a stamp of approval. Those of you who know my wife know she's a holistic honey bunny, super obscenely healthy. I mean, like to the point where like it's absurd, like legitimately absurd. And when people go, you can't be like my wife. Well, no. So when her girls go to her, because she's a trainer, oh, I can't never be like you, Dawn. Oh, no. You will never be like Dawn, because Dawn is beyond normal. If you ever want the definition of unusually motivated, that is a great persona. That is like a great portrayal of what it means to be unusually motivated, because she's unusually motivated. Unusual. She's unusual. Unusually motivated too, but unusual. Okay, so in her situation, you had Dawn approved, and then they said that we were confusingly similar with a lady in Illinois who had Dawn Joy. Okay, how does that work? They were saying, well, you both had the word Dawn, so you were similar, and you're both saying you like something, so therefore they're similar. So Dawn approved and Dawn Joy, spelled Dawn, D-A-W-N, space J-O-I, Dawn Joy. Now, it took 35 seconds for someone to go to Mrs. Dawn Joy's website and find out that A, it's her name, and B, she's a hair care stylist and cosmetician in Illinois, versus my wife, who is a fitness honey bunny in Brooklyn, who does meal plans and training and bikini modeling. So, not really confusing, right? So, but the examiner would have had to actually do some work to realize this, but we didn't do that. Rather, the examiner in that situation just took all the template language on the website, put it in an email, and sent it to us. Needless to say, we got over it. She has a trademark, but it took 6 to 7 months to rounds. So, all right, back to the point. So the two big things they like to look at are the similarities between the marks and the relatedness of the goods and services. Similarities, they look for things that are like, they look for things that could be spelled similar. Maybe the prefix is the same, the suffix is the same. Maybe it sounds the same. Maybe, in one instance, it's a different language that translates to the same thing. So, in Italian, fragola is a strawberry. So if you wanted a line of strawberries in America named fragola, you might not get that trademark because it's translated to the same way. It's called the doctrine of foreign equivalence. Or probably a better example of that would be like, I don't know, if Pepsi was a real word and there was a Japanese word for the word Pepsi, that would be like, no, that would never happen, right? So that couldn't do that. So that's like the similarity to Marx argument. And then the second one you see a lot is the relatedness of the goods. So this is messy. So not only do they look at the goods in their entire, not only do they look at the goods specifically, but they look at like similar goods, right? Now sometimes So perfect example is like if you sell car parts, right? If you sell car parts, they'll say it's similar and likely that you also sell used cars, or if you sell used cars, it's similar likely you sell car parts or something to that effect. They'll make that overlap. I've seen that case law. Sometimes they're absurd and they don't really do it. So what's happening, you've seen a lot lately, is they'll go to like Amazon, right? And they'll type in your product. They'll type in what you're trying to sell. Let's say in this instance, I'm trying to sell window treatments. And they'll go to Amazon and then they'll say, well, window treatments, well, would they also sell, bed linens? And they'll type in bed linens, bed linens, window treatments, similar products, got to get out, sold on Amazon. I mean, without paying any mind the fact that Amazon is an aggregate website that sells everything, but whatever, that's not the point. So sometimes they're very silly. Okay, so the point of this video is how to respond to this, right? Okay, number one, your most powerful case law out there is going to be case law that focuses on the consumer base, on who you're targeting. That's going to be your most powerful case law, because that's really that's really important who you market to. So no matter what you're no matter what you're selling, no matter what goods you're selling, no matter what service you're selling, if you're selling to a very niche, unique market base that's not going to have a lot of overlap and not a lot of overlap, or not even be seen as a general consumer, that's really telling. I mean, that's going to be very powerful in your defense as to whether or not you have a confusingly similar mark, because the sophisticated purchaser is never going to confuse. We'll just use Pepsi as an example. If there was like a Pepsi wrench, like the sophisticated consumer is never going to confuse a Pepsi wrench with a Pepsi soda bottle. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're never going to like confuse those brands or whatever the case is. Pepsi may not be a great example, because I mean then you can make the argument that Pepsi's so popular that every time you say the word Pepsi that you're infringing, which I'm probably doing now. So, but the point is, one of the key responses you're going to need to come back with is that who you're selling to, how there's no confusion based on the sophistication level of the consumer, because that's like key. So that's one of the first items you're going to respond back with. One of the second items you always want to respond back to is what exactly are you selling? 90% of the time there is no overlap, and it's very funny because what's happening is this is like I mentioned before, this is the whole thing with like Amazon. Someone like Amazon or someone like eBay sells 47 bajillion products, and it's very easy to go on Amazon and type in basically anything and find something that's similarly sold on the same channel, because Bob the auto body, Bob the guy that purchases, I don't know, air filters, which is like maybe like a class 12 for auto parts. Bob purchases air filters. Bob could also purchase a battery on Amazon, which is a class 9. Two totally, different classes, totally different things. There could be an argument for confusion there because, if we're only looking at the same trade channels, Amazon's a huge trade channel. So you'll see that with Amazon, you see it with Home Depot, you see it with Pottery Barn, and it gets even more confusing. When they get really complicated, they start selling all different kinds of lines of products. So one of the responses that we had over the Pottery Barn, oh, that's terrible. That's terrible how you want on video. I'm actually because I'm staring at the same thing for 5 hours. But one of the issues we have, you'll have with like the trade channels is places like Amazon just sell so much variety of stuff that like it's hard, and everyone knows that, so everyone goes to get everything from Amazon. So it's hard to make that argument there sometimes, because the trademark examiner, who's going to be lazy and not really look at it, it's always going to find something on something like Amazon, like on an aggregate website like that. So your most powerful response is going to be who you're selling to. That's huge, very important. The sophistication of your customer is going to be very important. The second item that is going to be very important is what exactly you're selling. Odds are they didn't look at it. It sounds stupid, and they seem to tell you otherwise in their paper, but 99% of the time they did not look at it. They simply just saw, oh, Amazon, oh, eBay, oh, similar, okay, boom, check mark, and they're out. All right. So that's very key. Let me just see here. If the confusion is actually, and the third item I want to point out, which is very important too, is there actually confusion? Because if there's no confusion, if there's not one single instance of confusion, then you could very easily make the argument for a cooperation, kind of like a cooperative agreement, like with the USPTO or whatever the case is. Like if there is no history at all of confusion ever in time, then why is it going to start now, right? So that's like a very powerful that's a very powerful response. I find that to be very helpful. So I think, a lot of times, like, you'll say, hey, this has been in existence for so long, there's not one case on Lexus, there's not one case on Pacer, there's not one case anywhere, there's not one article in the news, there's nothing. That literally is no risk of confusion anywhere. Or I've been operating with this brand for so many years locally, and not one person's even had an issue at all. And, that on its face tells you there's no confusion. So these three, I think, are probably like the strongest, best responses for defending yourself and responding to a determination that your brand had a likelihood of confusion. So to go through the three again, remember, one, it was your sophistication, the sophistication of customer that's you're marketing to, your trade channels, who you're marketing to, and their level of sophistication and complexity. The second item is going to be what did I say the second item was going to be? The second item was going to be what exactly is you're selling, especially if it's goods, what exactly it is you're selling, exactly as you're trying to brand, because odds are the trademark examiner did not pay attention. I'm sorry, they did not pay attention. All you people that think that these letters come in, that they're written by highly sophisticated, all super intelligent, and not knocking anyone in the trademark office, but some of you guys and gals are stupid. Just like some attorneys are, some of you guys and gals there are stupid, you don't want to do your jobs, which is fine, but we got to be diligent and don't take anything they say for face value. Third item is, simply put, just the existence of the actual brand out there and whether or not there was any confusion whatsoever. Because if there was no confusion whatsoever, then that on its face is a pretty strong argument for you to make, to rebut and push back that, hey, there's no confusion here and you guys need to stop bullshitting me. So those are my three positions. That's my advice on what is the most best and helpful way to push back on these people, to push back and get beyond that point where your brand is considered confusing. And that's really all there is to it. So look, if you have any questions, concerns, obviously we're always here. These videos are to your benefit. You could share them, you could send them out, please subscribe, join the newsletter. You'll keep getting updates on things like this. And that's really all there is to it. Obviously, if you need us, you call us, you retain us, you have the email, you have everything you need. And that's it. So, you know the deal. Yours and Law's love and lifts. Vinny Maletti Law, the strongest name in law. And if you have any questions, concerns, we're here. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Hope the video was helpful.